Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Natalie from the blog alegacyanddays.com. Today I wanted to share with you my top 5 decorating tips for when you're on a very tight budget. I know with the current recession, a lot of us feel like we are on a very tight budget. We're not sure where to spend our money and where not to spend our money. And sometimes adding home decor or some beautiful items to our home can feel like an unnecessary expense. And today I want to encourage you that even with just a few small expenditures or free items that you have already maybe in your possession, you can do a lot to change the look of your home, the feel of your home, and make it a more welcome and inviting place. So my top tip that you've probably seen all over on the internet is never underestimate the power of paint. You can paint a wall and a room and completely transform the whole look of a space in an area. But what I want to encourage you about is you don't have to go and buy gallons of paint, which can be very expensive. You can utilize some really inexpensive or free options, and here are my top tips for saving on paint. Number 1, paint a door or some trim in your home. Now this will require semi-gloss paint. You don't want to use wall paint for trim and doors. You need less paint, and it will have a very big impact. Right now there's a big trend with mushroom, beige, creamy, taupey colors. We love the look of it. It's just a really traditional, classic look. But it's big, high impact for relatively low cost. So that's one of your options. You can paint one wall a really beautiful, bold pop of color, and that can be enough to change the atmosphere and feel in a room. But here are my tips as far as sourcing the actual paint. Check out your local Restore or Habitat for Humanity for mist tint paints. Usually you can find some decent paint there to paint at least an accent wall or paint a door a fun color or a piece of furniture. Also your local hardware stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, they usually have mist tint paint sections, as well as your local paint store will have mist tinted paint. Now what my husband really likes to do is to find mist tinted white paints. This happens all the time because white is a very trendy color. Homeowners really buy into the white paint thing and they order a whole 5-gallon of it. Just come to find out it was not the exact white they wanted. But the key fact here is it is very easy to retint white paint. So the paint itself will have the base tones labeled on it, and the paint store employee will be able to help you tint the paint to a color that you desire based off of that base color. So look for light colors that you can either have retinted or utilize in a neutral way, and also especially white paints. Now don't shy away from those bold gallons of paint. I'm telling you, you can find sometimes a really beautiful color in there, and when you're talking like $3 and $5 or $8 compared to $50 a gallon, it's worth the gamble to see if you can't find a paint that you can utilize somewhere in your home to make a fun, bold accent. The other thing you can do with paint, besides painting walls, trims, doors, accent walls, is a piece of furniture. Getting a cohesive feel in a room can be easily achieved when you paint furniture to match or coordinate better. For example, if you have different toned wood all over in a room with no neutral or similarity in color, it's really easy to achieve harmony in feel in the room by painting pieces of furniture a matching neutral tone. One way you can do this is by using some of your mist tinted light neutral colors and mixing around and seeing what you can come up with. I like to utilize a leftover washed out yogurt or like cottage cheese container that has a lid, and I start mixing up colors. That way I have a lid to put back on once I'm taking a break in between coats or whatnot. It just makes things a lot easier. But go ahead and mix up some of the paint samples maybe that you have, or leftover quarts or leftover parts of a gallon, and see what kind of colors you can come up with for some fun accent piece of furniture or two, or maybe a half wall with a little board and batten somewhere. It's amazing what you can come up with when your limited options become very narrowed. Sometimes the creativity really starts firing. The paint sample paint itself is not high quality paint, but when you're painting a piece of furniture, where you want to splurge is your prep work, You want to do sanding, cleaning, and prep properly on your furniture. I'm not going to go into details on that on this video, but I'm sure you can find some resources out there. more great information on how to do that. And then you want to have a really high quality primer. The primer and the bonding of the primer to the furniture, wood, or whatever itself is what is going to help your paint adhere the best. And also a top coat. So if you are a DIYer and you have good quality primer sitting around and some good quality top coat, all you need to do is find some kind of paint tone that will work. People have even used craft paint before. So I just want to encourage you to jump in there, get your furniture prepped, get a good primer coat on it, and then experiment with some fun color options. Put a good sealer coat on that and you are set to go with a whole transformed space. Next up, I want to talk about utilizing the power of spray paint, not just paint. Now, I'm not talking about making some graffiti art on your walls, although if you think that's a great idea, go for it. I'm talking about utilizing spray paint to update old finishes on your hardware. Now, this is even a great tip to give a cohesive look in a room if you want to spray paint the bases of lamps, for example, all the same color. I've done this in numerous homes before where I had all these random different lamps and I spray painted them all black or all white or even a color, and it made them all have this cohesive, uniformed look and really gives it more of a high-end, beautiful feel. Now you can also spray paint hardware, handles, knobs. I've even done faucets before. We've done lots of bathroom hardware. In fact, I usually have repurposed my bathroom hardware and just spray painted it either oil rub bronze when that was really trendy or matte black. I've done gold finishes, and there's some really high quality spray paints out there now that include really good primer, and all you need to do is just have some good prep work, seal that up, and know that it's not going to last forever. Just give yourself, buy yourself actually, a few years until you're ready to really update to a higher quality piece of hardware to replace that, or just re-spray paint again. It's also a lot better even just on the environment, because we're not just pitching stuff out and letting it just turn into rubbish. We're utilizing and repurposing old things, which is very economical and it's good for everybody. One place that is a great place to look for old hardware with really unique fun lines and like vintage feel that you can just spray paint is once again your Habitat for Humanity or local restore. Sometimes your own home has hardware on bathroom knobs or fixtures that you don't like the look of. Maybe it's really brassy or it's getting rusty or it's chipped or it's just a really bright chrome that doesn't match everything else and you want to give it a new feel. You can go ahead and spray paint that. But it's also really fun to shop at vintage stores for maybe some metal that's not in great shape, but the unique lines of it will give it a really fun, trendy, unique place in your home. So keep your eye out when you're thrifting, when you're antique shopping, or at your local restore, to look for some fun hardware, handles or something that you can go ahead and spray paint it and give it an updated look for real minimal cost. So my next tip is to utilize alternative textile options and think outside of the box. For example, my mom is really good at this. She finds really cool old curtains and she'll repurpose them in her home either by hemming them real quick to fit the space she needs them to, making them into a throw. She takes sheets and makes them into curtains, which is a really great tip. If you find an old vintage sheet that's in good shape, not old as in like a ratty tatty, but a sheet that's in good shape, or even purchase maybe at a discount home store like Ross or TJ Maxx or Home Goods, you can get a lot more yardage for the price than if you went to your local fabric store to buy your fabric by the yard. And you can make pillows with it, you can make throws with it, you can make curtains, just enough to give your room a nice accent of color somewhere, or just a neutral, cohesive look. Keep your eyes out for large pieces of remnant fabric, whether that's at the fabric store, in their remnant section, whether that's a sheet that you find at a discount home store or a thrift store or antique store. They might have tablecloths, curtains. Look at the fabric itself and think, what could I use this for to give my room the feel that I want? My next tip is to create your own art with what you already have in your home. For your walls, you can utilize spray paint to do this. For example, you can spray paint vases or different little tchotchkes and things that are random colors, all white, like a pear. I've spray painted brick things before white, and clay, really ugly, dirty ones, all white, and created this really cohesive look on my bookshelves in my previous home, very inexpensively. Or you can just make your own art for your walls by either repainting a frame that you already have and then printing off an inexpensive PDF printable file. You can find these a lot of different places. In fact, if you Google free art prints, I think it's upsplash.com, that has free, beautiful photography that you're allowed to use in your own home. You can't reproduce them and sell them, obviously. You can just go to your local print store and pay $1 or $2 to get a larger size quality print made, or use your own printer if you have a high quality printer. A lot of Etsy shops now are selling vintage art that they've scanned in and they're selling it in a digital format. You can search digital vintage oil paintings. Some beautiful paintings will come up, and sometimes they're as low as like $1. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. All you have to pay for is the print and then the cost of printing itself, which you can usually get done very affordably. So think outside the box. Also, printing up your own like quotes or verse prints is very easy to do on any kind of graphic design app, or even like a document creation app like Google Docs. Just need to find some fun font, a fun quote you really love with like a white background, for example, or colored background with white words is a really fun pop of color you can put into a frame you already have and add a fun element into your decor and wall decor. So I hope these tips have helped inspire you to think outside the box for some unique ideas to curate your own home and bring out your own personality and your own style. Just jump in there. That's the fun part about doing things on a very tight budget with limited minimal money, is it actually doesn't give you that fear and that sense of dread of spending too much on something, on a decision you might regret. I hope it gives you more confidence to just try something. Just play around in your home with what you already have on hand, or you can come by inexpensively and have fun with it. I hope that encourages you today, and I will see you in my next video.